Hiya. So, I hope everyone's well. These are obviously strange times. Feels a little bit weird to be talking about doing a game in this kind of health crisis, but we're all okay here. Just a little bit of adjustment of everyone working from home. So, yeah, stay healthy. I hope you're all doing okay. There's not really been a single big focus on the build this month. There's lots of little changes, so I thought I'd give you a quick tour of that stuff. First up, there's a lot more audio in the build. The music's been there in a while, but I've actually done a pass and put some Foley in now, so I think every character action at least has some basic audio, even if it's not layered up properly. But it's starting to feel like a game. There's still a few problems with this, like the footstep audio is based off of materials, so where I've been lazy and just slapped some quads about to make paths and stuff, you get the wrong audio occasionally, but I'll probably be even lazier and fix that just by layering some more quads over the top. It's coming together though. The reverb and stuff in the dungeon sounds quite nice, and yeah, been messing around with the EQ, so yeah, that's a nice improvement. So another little thing, the items that you pick up in the world, up to now they all had some kind of like identity ceremony every time you saw them, but I've got rid of that, so you just get that the first time you see things now. And you get a nice little notification in the corner of the screen when you run over and get stuff, so that's a little bit quicker, a little bit smoother. I've also added UE4's visual login to my debug output class. This basically records gameplay and allows you to draw debug stuff in the world, spheres, lines, arrows, bits and bobs like that, along with messages, and you can dump information out of the class. Debug logins, super important, particularly towards the end of the project, when there's external QA and stuff looking at it. This is probably going to save my life, so I thought I'd get it in early. It's not used very much in the world at the minute because there's just not a lot of gameplay, but it's very, very cool. Probably the biggest chunk of the month has actually been the move over to Blender. On Lumo, I was struggling with 3ds Max, but when I shipped, I had some money to buy some software, generally like improve the quality of my life, so I grabbed Modo on recommendation. Now, I'm a really big fan of Modo. It was the first sort of modelling package that really fit with my head, and I love all the little selection stuff that it has. But the 10 series was a little bit flaky with animations. I would regularly come back to a file and find keyframes corrupted in some of the takes, and it was a massive pain in the arse because you'd go back to something to tweak it and it'd be all over the shop and you didn't really have a way of repairing it. So the only way I really found to fix this was just to have each animation in its own file, which again, not ideal. Import and export and stuff starts getting a little bit fiddly. You forget which file stuff's in, just like, yeah. But the biggest downside was literally the cost. It's like $1,000 every time you need to upgrade, and like I can't really afford it. Particularly if it's just I want to get some bugs fixed. So Paul, who does the characters for me, he's been raving about Blender for a while, basically last sort of year or so, been pushing me towards it, and to be honest, I've not really looked at it in years. So when he dropped the new character bits on me, he gave me the blend files, and I figured it was time to have a look and move over. Now, for the most part, since the UI has changed, I've been getting on fine. I really didn't like the old UI, but the new stuff is good. There's things I miss from Modo, and Blender has its own set of quirks, but for the most part it's more stable, and it's very, very quick, but holy shit, it's got some good plugins. I don't think I'd ever be able to live without UV Square's Packmaster and Auto Rig. They're just mind-blowing. Rigging particularly, Auto Rig Pro is just like the life-changing for me. Rigging used to take me like, at the best case 4 or 5 hours. By the time you've put all of the controls and stuff in, this is literally a couple of minutes. Just place some things around, match to rig, hit bind, boom, it just works. There's a few, little bits of waiting that I might have to tweak, but the NPCs in the game at the minute are literally just, hit that button, there's the rig, export them into the game. They've just worked. Mind-blowing, just like worth every penny. So that's made the move to Blender really, really good. And that's also kind of prompted a lot more art stuff. I've done, quite a lot of little bits and pieces. 2 interiors in the game are basically done now. They're both missing an NPC, but essentially it's there. I went a little bit crazy and created a shag pile material for carpets and rugs. No idea why, I just kind of wanted to play with the tech, and I'm not against, putting a famous carpet in here and there. So so the other big job was NPCs. I've done all the legwork for friendly NPCs, so quest givers, random info, messages, stuff like that. Mostly these are just, milling about in the world. They're fixed location NPCs, so they don't need a lot of AI, and that's on purpose. But it's true to that sort of Zelda trope. They extend what I was talking about last month, as they use all the ABR stuff to track conversations, and they can trigger animations at given points. Basically, when the player hits the button to move the conversation forward, the NPC can just play a little animation or do whatever. There's no examples in the build yet, because I'm not entirely comfortable with how Blender's animation stuff works, but that's just sort of minor quibbles. But yeah, there's NPCs in the world now. I need to make a few more variations, get some females dotted about, but it's all moving in the right direction. And then the last really noticeable things, obviously the houses have changed. So I've done another pass on like one of the main village houses, so the whole village is looking a little bit better now. There's a smaller house shape and a kind of shop that I need to do, but they've got placeholders in the world now, and a few little bits and bobs around that, like the lights on the houses. They all have custom times that they can come on, so effectively it's like people have their own bedtime now. It is a little bit sort of design negative, because you will be locked out of certain areas, i.e. the pub's going to shut at 11:30, you won't be able to go into the pub at night. And I can kind of hear people moaning about that already, but the flip side of that is there'll be areas of the world that are really only active at night. I wanted the time of day system, so even if it's pretty simple, I still think it's quite cool, so we'll see how we get on with that. But yeah, strange times, keep everybody safe, stay indoors, do all of that jazz, and I hope you're all healthy and well, and I'll hook up with another video in a month or so. Take care everyone, cheers.